Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Again, my name is Joy, and in this video I'm going to be talking about becoming whole. If you watched my Celibacy Story part 3, I talked about how I became whole, and in this video I just want to go a little bit more in depth about becoming whole, how I became whole. I'll start off by letting you know how I became broken, and then of course how I became whole. So as always, welcome to my channel. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, go ahead and click that subscribe button and then click that notification button. That way you can be notified when I do post new videos. So, what does wholeness look like? all of this right here. This is wholeness. For those that really know me, really know me, you know that prior to my journey, I was very mean. I was rude, I was unapproachable, and I was just overall this angry person. And I didn't know that I was broken. I didn't know that I was broken until I became whole. So my brokenness actually started at the age of 12. That's when I moved to the States. And at the age of 12, I was really a hyper child. I used to get into things, not really get in trouble, but I was just really hyper. And in the Kenyan community, it wasn't perceived as a positive thing. I actually remember some adults telling me that I would never be anything. And that broke me. It broke me, and I didn't realize at the time that it actually broke me. I thought it was just a motivator. So what I made up my mind, and I told myself that I was going to prove them wrong, that I was going to make something out of myself, and I was going to prove their words wrong. And in the process of me, trying to prove them wrong, what I didn't realize is I became really bitter. I became angry. I didn't trust people, and I always needed that validation. So if I accomplished a little thing, I would post it on social media, and I wanted people to validate me. I wanted people to tell me that I was something. I was someone. I needed that validation in order to be able to move forward. And that's not what we don't need people to validate us. We don't need people to make us complete. So what is wholeness? So I looked up wholeness, and it's an adjective, and it actually means being well in spirit, mind, and body. And I went ahead and I looked up the Greek word for wholeness, and that word is halos. Halos. Please don't come for me if I said it wrong. And the meaning is all, entire, and complete. So what does it mean to be complete? To be complete is knowing who you are. Knowing who you are in Christ. Being complete is standing on your own 2 feet. And even when people say negative things about you and you know they aren't true, they try to slander you, it doesn't affect you because you know who you are. And most important, you know who you are in Christ. So I do want to talk about wholeness, becoming whole, and wholeness from the perspective of the Bible. And I'm going to be reading from John chapter 5, verse 6 through 9. And it says, when Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Will thou be made whole?" The sick man answered, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is troubled. While I am coming, another steps down before me. Jesus said to him, rise, take up your bed, and walk. And immediately the man was made well, took up his bed, and he walked. So this story is the story of a man. It's the story of a man who was ill, and he used to sit by a pool waiting for the water to become troubled, and it was said, whoever was first to get in the water will become healed. And his excuse was, I don't have anybody to put me into the pool so I can be healed. What did Jesus do? Jesus told him, Jesus did not even listen to his excuses. Jesus was like, stand up, pick up your mat, walk, be gone, rise, hey, you're healed, right? So becoming whole is going to require you to actually acknowledge. Number one, you have to acknowledge that you are broken. So you have to acknowledge that, you know what, maybe I'm posting all these half-naked pictures on social media because I'm broken, because I need men to validate me, because I have an illness. It can be an illness from your father not being in your life, your mother not being in your life. It can be an illness of what people said about you. It can be a brokenness, an illness from your teachers telling you that you weren't good enough. A health report saying that you are ill. Brokenness can stream from a lot of different things. But the number one thing is you do have to acknowledge that you are broken, that you have an illness. The second thing is you have to stop blaming other people. You have to stop blaming your brokenness on what people did, on who left you, who didn't do this for you, who didn't validate you, what they said about you. No. What does Jesus say about you? Who is Jesus saying you are? So in my life, when my relationship failed, I didn't even realize I was broken. But I was hurt because I no longer had somebody to validate who I was. I saw myself as failing. I saw myself as a failure. I had failed at something. Their words were coming true, and I had failed in a relationship. That is not true. Some people come in your life to teach you something. Some people are in your life for a season, and other people are going to be in your life for a long time. You have to know who you are and not allow people to validate you. And the other thing, the third thing, so the first thing we said was you have to acknowledge that you are broken. The second thing, you have to take responsibility. You cannot keep blaming people on your brokenness. You have to take responsibility. You have to own it. And then the third thing is you have to receive healing. You have to receive healing. The God that we serve is a mighty God. He will not come to you and say, you are broken and I'm going to give you healing. He wants you to go to him and say, God, I acknowledge that I'm broken and I want you to heal me. So for me, I had to come to a place of surrender. And I said to God, God, I'm bitter. God, I'm angry. God, I know what they said about me, but I'm not a failure, God. Who am I? And that's when God started working on me. That's when God told me to get up and walk. Get up and know that I'm somebody. So when you go to the Lord, you just have to ask him, who am I? God, who am I? And you have to ask him to heal your brokenness, to heal that brokenness that's within you. And I started seeing myself being happy, being genuinely happy. I no longer needed to post stuff on social media. I mean, for those of you that know me, I'm not even on social media. I'm barely on social media. I just recently started my Instagram page, and that's for my platform. So yeah, definitely follow me on Instagram, Joyful Joy 2911. All right. But I'm not on social media, and it's not saying that the only reason you're on social media is because you need validation. But for most people, they're posting those pictures because they want the world to tell them, yeah, you're pretty enough. Yeah, you're good enough. Yeah, you're handsome. You have to know it. You have to know it. And the only person that can heal you from your father not being in your life, your mother walking away, what they said about you, what they did to you, who raped you, who misused you, who beat you, all of that stuff, only God can heal you from that. The bitterness that I had towards these people, it was healed. I forgave them. I love them. I eat lunch with them now. That's in the past. I'm healed. I have so much joy. Quite honestly, if I was the person that I was before, I would not be making these YouTube videos. But because I'm confident in who I am in God, in who God created me to be, I'm able to do this. I'm not ashamed of my faith. I'm not ashamed of the person that I am. I see goodness in me. There is goodness in you. There is goodness. But you have to go to the Lord for healing. You have to go to the Lord. He's not going to come to you. He gives us free will because free will allows you to actually make that choice to want to be made whole. Once you become whole, whoa! Once you become whole, you go to a job interview and there are other people who have, degrees higher than yours, degrees as full as a thermometer. You don't care because you know who you are and you know who you serve and you know what you're bringing to the table. So I just want to encourage you to seek wholeness. Seek wholeness. Seek wholeness. And that wholeness will be found in God. That's it for this video. As always, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification button, and I have an Instagram now. So follow my Instagram page. It is Joyful Joy 2911. As always, be blessed. Mwah!